So today we're going to take a look at not exactly the Proco Rat, but a few Proco Rat variations. So I have the Roadkill pedal, which is, I believe, part of the JHS Pack Rat that they put out. I honestly have had this one so long, I don't even remember where I acquired it. Someone must have left it with me jamming at some point. If that's the case, let me know, and I'll be able to get that back to you there. And then I got maybe a year or so ago, maybe a little bit longer, I got the Wampler Ratsbane pedal, which to me, with the switches that you can change a few gain options and the voice options, really seemed like the best choice as far as a rat. Not trying to be exactly the true thing, but actually trying to improve on it a little bit there. And then we have two versions of the rat in the Helix HX Stomp Line 6, those products. What do we have? The Ratatouille distortion and the Vermin distortion, which are both based off of the Proco Rat. I think that let's see, it was the Vermin that was initially on the pedal, and then I think they realized that maybe there was something wrong with their version that they had tried to emulate, so they released another version of it, the Ratatouille, in version 3.10 update. And that one's been really cool. So you could probably hear there was a little bit of a difference between them. Now that's with the settings dialed exactly the same. I could probably balance them out to be a little bit more even. And see, I've got them both assigned to that one switch right there, so I have to have one of them turned off in order to properly swap between them. Ratatouille is the newer one. So that's the Ratatouille. That was the Vermin. You see, when you have two things assigned to the same foot switch, you can toggle between them. And the Vermin I'm actually using, so it's highlighted. And then kind of just changes however you're swapping it there. Let's see if I can dial them in a little closer to each other. So, probably need to bring the volume up a little bit on the Vermin. So I like that they didn't replace the one once they realized that there was something wrong with it, because it's still usable, and slight variation in the settings if they're the same, but you can probably dial them in to be very similar. So let's hear the Roadkill and the Ratsbane now. So I'm using a TRS cable to split the single send that you have here, using the Old Blood Noise Endeavor's split meld to take that TRS signal and split it into a left and a right. The Wampler is on the left signal chain, I believe, and the Roadkill is on the right. Right away, I know these mini pedals don't fit a battery, so you have to power it with the with an adapter, which is cool, but the Roadkill has no option for that. There's no adapter port that I could find on it or anything. You have to use a battery. And also, and probably even more annoying, is there's no indicator light on this thing. So you just have to know that it's actually on. Let's start right there and see. I've already messed up and changed my settings on there. Let's do this. I think if I switch back and go back, yeah, that basically fixed it there for me. So effects loop right when I turn it on. You see, no indicator light. And if you try bringing any of this down, I need to do a standalone pedal shootout on the Roadkill and maybe even try it with the Simplifier. So I can run it through an analog signal. With this heavy, what does it say? Headlights, I guess that's your volume. Let's see, I think splatter is the gain. It cleans up, but then starts breaking up very quickly. And then this has got to be the filter, which is actually backwards, I think, because if it's all on these other ones, like the Ratsbane, if the filter is all the way clockwise, then it's not filtering anything out, and if it's all the way to this side, then it would have a lot of the highs filtered out, which that's what you're getting right now. And then the highs are coming back in, really in the last part of the pedal, it feels like. So this one is kind of cool, like when it's all the way up. To me, this sounds better than an HM2 on max settings, which is completely out of control, because this one, there's a little bit of noise, but it's not like out of control. So I hate that it doesn't have the adapter port, and then it doesn't have the indicator light. So probably not anything I'm gonna keep using or anything, but it's kind of fun to have around. And if I ever figure out where I got it, I'll either take care of it or return it to the owner there. So then the effects loop left, that's the Wampler. And you know what, I think I've got the gain on the higher setting and the voice. So I think this is supposed to be more like a regular Rat, when you've got the middle selection on the gain and then the left toggle on the voice. So even at half gain, it's able to get some harmonics in there. Cool. So I could just jam on that and have a good time with it. I think you got an option if you switch the gain to the left. The left side feels like it's got maybe a little bit more clarity to it, and then I think the right is more gain. Kind of got that fuzzy tone to it, and then if I switch the voice to the right, I feel like it's got a little bit more of like a clean, obviously not clean, but almost like a clean blend, which gives it a lot more clarity for, say, you know, soloing instead of being kind of like a big fuzzy solo. Get some delay on that. Versus the right setting. I feel like I've got a little bit more freedom to kind of get shreddy without losing some of the notes and the fuzziness on that one. So that's pretty cool. And people have asked me, you know, about some of the settings that I'm using on some of these, just to prove that that is the left signal there. Just hit that one on and off. Just prove it anyway. So obviously my first four blocks are all the effects loop left, effects loop right, Ratatouille distortion, and then the vermin distortion. And believe it or not, as heavy as this is, I'm running it through the Jazz Rivette 120, which is basically their version of the Jazz chorus amp, which I'm kind of a fan of. I don't own one of those, but I kind of was able to identify that's the clean sound that I typically like through finding it in the Helix. Lots of other great clean amps in here, but that's the one that I feel the most comfortable with. I've kind of been finding simple delay, just pulled it up, it works. Dual greenback 412, so you get the greenback 30 on half of it, page over a few times to see. You've got the Suit Pro as the second speaker, and then I've got the room reverb on, last thing in the chain, to kind of make it feel like it's actually in a room instead of just a direct signal coming at you there. So I feel like, those are all a little bit different with the Rats, and maybe that's why the Pack Rat is, I assume, a successful pedal for JHS, is because there are slight variations in the circuitry that do make the controls behave a little bit differently. So if that's your sound that you kind of like to base your distortion around, that's probably a really cool thing. I went with the Wampler Ratsbane because I just like how it's a basic one and then just a really good set of other options that you have for it with those gain and voice switches. Let's try this out real quick though. I want to do maybe an A and B path thing with these. So let's take the second one in each of these, and I'm going to hit action, drop it down into path B, leave it there, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the vermin. Hit action, drop it down to path B, and let's put the mixer right there before the amp. And then obviously I want the split to be before that. So now I've got these two going on their own paths. So I think where I was experiencing phase issues before was by using just one of the effects loops and then the just Helix signal running on the other one, and that was creating a little bit of kind of like a phase issue. Someone even had a good comment on one of my other videos, kind of breaking it down, so I appreciate that kind of feedback there. So let's see what happens if I get both of these going. Well, right now, I can tell you that is an affected signal, so that sounds a little phasey. Still sounds phasey, but I bet if I hit the effects loop right here, it might fix it. So I'm not really liking the roadkill sound mixed with the Ratsbane. It would be cool if there was some kind of way to actually do a phase inversion. That I don't know if that's something that could be done in a future update, but I'm not really feeling those two on their own signal paths kind of running back and forth. It still just doesn't sound the way I'd hoped. Let's see about the two digital ones, though, not using the sends. See, that to me sounds a lot better. So now that these two are on and these two are off, it actually is going to kind of work. I'm not stacking them into each other. I'm running them on parallel paths. So yeah, save my clean signal for 14 minutes into the video. There's my clean signal. See, that sounds cool to me. Turn those off. Roadkill's got to be the problem. So that was was that big change was switching the voice from the right to the left. So what have I kind of come to the conclusion with this to wrap this up? The Vermin and the Ratatouille are both cool, unique, even to each other versions of the Rat circuit. The Roadkill, I think, is probably one of the worst. Maybe there's a worse one. I don't know. It is part of the JHS pack rat there, so I don't know if people that own one think that there's another one that maybe is even harder to dial in and control. The Wampler one sounds the best to me, though, as far as being able to have those extra switch options, because you see there's no page over option for either of these. It's just the same 3 controls that you have right here, just better to dial in versions of it. But to me, this is still the win. However, running these two side by side in the effects loop, I feel like the Roadkill takes away from the Ratsbane, where stacking the Vermin and the Ratatouille in the pedal almost makes them sound a little better together. I thought that was probably the strongest version of it, was just having those two. But that's not taking anything away from this. I think that this was getting brought down by this one right here. So let's maybe test that theory real quick. So how can I do this? I'm going to take the split. No, I can't do that because of that. So I think I have to drop that back into the A path. Here we go. In fact, let's just do this. I'm going to hit action, page over. I'm just going to clear out that block. So now this is just going to control these two. So that's the 2 digital ones. While I'm at it too, I might as well try this out with one of the Sun apps that was added in here too. So Jazz Chorus, let's go ahead and scroll down to the moon. Let's do the moon jump. could just keep jamming on that and everything, but oh, what's the clean? So even that jump moon, which is really sun, it's got a little distortion to it, but yeah, it gets pretty doomy. So I'll go ahead and wrap this one up. The Ratsbane to me is still a great option, especially at the size of it. But I like having these two on the two paths. Obviously, that's going to take up more blocks and everything, but cool way to achieve the same sound versus, you just have the one block if you're running this on an effects loop on its own. Just be careful of running those parallel signal paths. But thank you guys very much, and I will make some more videos here soon. Thanks.